I'm Jennifer G. Smith, and I am very pleased to join you for the fourth Sunday of Easter. Please stay tuned after the Gospel for a reflection from Father Sergio. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever does not enter a sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens it for him, and the sheep hear his voice, as the shepherd calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has driven out all his own, he walks ahead of them, and the sheep will follow him, because they recognize his voice. But they will not follow a stranger. They will run away from him, because they do not recognize the voice of strangers." Although Jesus used this figure of speech, the Pharisees did not understand what he was trying to tell them. So Jesus said again, "Amen, amen, I say to you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. A thief only comes to steal and to slaughter and destroy. I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly." The Gospel of the Lord.
Peace to you, my friends. I love wristwatches. I always have. Even though the norm today is to check your phone for the time, I still like to use a wristwatch. Part of my fascination with them has to do with all the tiny springs and gears that make a watch function. Some watches now even have a clear backing so that you can see all those tiny gears working in unison to keep time. Ever since my high school days, my brand of choice has been Swatch watches. They became very popular in the 80s when I was in high school. They're fashionable and relatively inexpensive. The downside to them, though, is that they are not serviceable. They're made to only work for a short while, and then after they stop working, you buy a new one. Great marketing strategy. And that's what I've done for many years. But there's one particular Swatch watch that I've held on to the longest. I've been very careful with it so as to prolong its life. Well, a few months ago, it stopped working. Not a big deal. This has happened before. Pop in a new battery, and we're good to go. But this time, nothing happened. I was crestfallen. Is this the end of the road for my favorite Swatch watch? Not wanting to say goodbye, I got the not-so-bright idea to look up on YouTube how to fix a Swatch watch. I watched the video several times, and I was convinced I got this. I carefully removed the bezel and the cover, and then I gingerly removed the hands from the face of the watch with the special tool I had ordered from Amazon. I lifted the watch face up, and there it was, the movement. Beautiful still, even though its heart had stopped beating. I picked up the movement from its case, and I turned it to look at its backside, and as I did that, a tiny gear fell out. And then 2 more pieces fell out. I had no idea where they came from and no way of knowing then where they needed to go back. That was the end of my fix your own Swatch watch experiment. I shrugged it off and said to myself, oh well, that's that. But a couple days later, I found myself a little upset. I was upset that I couldn't fix the watch. Most things in life that I've tried to fix have been successful. But here, I was helpless. I couldn't fix this on my own. The realization that we are powerless, that we are helpless, that we can't fix things, that we are not in control, are probably some of the most difficult spiritual lessons we can experience in life. We've all been there. We've all experienced them. Not so much with watches not ticking, but rather with the people and situations in our lives. We want to correct a situation that has gone wrong, or we want to save someone from harm. No matter how hard we try, we usually end up coming up short. This unease that we have with not being able to fix things is very much at the center of our current COVID-19 pandemic. As this pandemic has dragged on, doctors have been at their wits' end trying to understand how this virus affects the body and how to stop it from causing so much harm. As this pandemic has dragged on, family members have been anguished over how to be present to their loved ones who are sick when they can only FaceTime with them, or how to say goodbye at that last moment without the benefit of holding their hand. As this pandemic has dragged on, economists have been anxious over the slowing of the economy and the massive unemployment that has resulted from it. And they haven't a clue as how to resuscitate the economy to its former strength. As this pandemic has dragged on, we've been tested with new ways of living, with social distancing and stay-at-home orders. And we are beginning to fray at the seams when it comes to the questions of following an order for the sake of the common good versus exercising the liberties enshrined in our Constitution. Our world is literally falling apart, and we don't know how to put it back together again. The antidote, my friends, to this feeling of powerlessness, ironically, is surrender. The antidote is admitting to ourselves that we don't have the answers or the power to do this on our own, that we need God's help. Confident in the love and mercy of a God who is always attentive to our needs, we can turn to God and say, "Okay, God, I give up. I'm not in charge anymore. You are. Show me the way." This dynamic is at the heart of the image of the Good Shepherd that Jesus uses in today's gospel to describe himself and to describe the nature of our relationship to him. People have unfortunately mischaracterized sheep as being dumb or unintelligent, and that they need a shepherd to tell them what to do or where to go. I don't think that's the type of spirituality that Jesus was advocating for. Rather, sheep rely on the shepherd for their care and well-being. They surrender themselves over to the Good Shepherd, and they follow the shepherd who leads them to greener pastures. That's what Jesus wants for us. And there is no doubt that Jesus, the Good Shepherd, will lead us from this dark valley of COVID-19 to the verdant pastures of new life. But in order to get there, we have to surrender. As we do that, we will begin to see the verdant pastures that lie ahead of us. And at the same time, we will recognize the rocky and perilous terrain that kept us away from those pastures. As we surrender to the Good Shepherd who leads us to verdant pastures, we will recognize the thieves and the robbers that promised us those same pastures, but instead led us astray. Even now, without the benefit of an end to this dark valley we find ourselves in, we may already begin to recognize how we have been led astray. The cleaner air that has fallen on our world's major cities through the lower production of emissions may be the Good Shepherd showing us the way. Not that we have to give up our cars or our way of life, but that we had misused them. The new regard that we have for essential workers, like cashiers and shelf stockers in grocery stores, may be the Good Shepherd showing us the way. If they really are some of the heroes of this pandemic, does it still make sense not to pay them a living wage? The loss of contact with loved ones as a result of the stay-at-home order may be the Good Shepherd showing us the way. Human relationships are much too precious to sacrifice for the sake of money, greed, or grudges that keep us apart from one another, even when there is no stay-at-home order. My friends, these are only some of the questions, the tough questions that we will be struggling with for some time. I don't have the answer for them. I doubt anyone does, except the Good Shepherd. In order to be successful, in order to be led to green pastures, we need to listen to his voice. We need to stop trying to fix it on our own and to surrender our lives to him. I know it sounds cliche, but admitting that we are powerless and surrendering ourselves over to God are the first 2 steps in the 12 Steps program. It works. Countless saints lived under these directives as well and experienced great peace and joy, even though they may have experienced physical pain in their lives or they gave their lives up for the sake of the faith. It works. It's not a cliche, my friends. It's the proper order of our relationship with the Good Shepherd. And it works. It really works.